You never signed a contract giving them control over your attention, your money, and your privacy. But they took it anyway. You didn't vote for them. Yet they govern the digital world you inhabit for 8 hours every single day. 5 men, 5 companies, 5 empires, built on a single, innocent promise. We're just connecting people. But as we peel back the layers of the last 2 decades, we find a reality that is much darker, much more calculated, and far more dangerous. Today, Silicon Valley goes on trial. In the defendants' chairs, we have Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin, and Tim Cook. They stand accused of engineering products so dominant and so addictive that they've rewired human nature itself. They have turned our brains into data points and our lives into profit margins. But here is what makes this case different from any story you've ever heard. In this courtroom, the victims and the customers are the exact same people. That means you stay until the final ruling, because the last piece of evidence, Exhibit E, changes the entire narrative. You won't see it coming, and it will make you question the very device you are holding right now. Court is now in session. 1. The architect of attention. Defendant: Mark Zuckerberg, meta charge, engineering, social addiction, and psychological manipulation. The prosecution: did Zuckerberg build a social network, or did he build a digital cage for the human mind? Let's look at the blueprint. In 2006, Facebook's internal data science team discovered a terrifying trend. The more anxious a user felt, the more they scrolled. Did they try to fix it? No. They optimized it. The red notification dot that was chosen because it triggers a physical stress response. The infinite scroll that was designed by engineers who studied Las Vegas slot machines. They wanted to create a variable reward loop where you keep scrolling, hoping for a hit of dopamine. His own founding president, Sean Parker, finally broke the silence years later, saying, "God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains." The prosecution argues this wasn't an accident. It was a heist of human attention. The defense: look around. Before Facebook, the internet was a fragmented, lonely place. Zuckerberg didn't invent the human need for validation. He just built the most efficient stage for it in history. He gave a voice to the voiceless. He allowed revolutions to be organized and families to stay connected across oceans. He built a mirror of society. If you don't like the reflection, you see the outrage, the vanity. You can't blame the man who manufactured the glass. Exhibit A. The date is April 10th, 2018. Zuckerberg sits before 44 United States senators. He's wearing a suit that looks 2 sizes too large, trying to look like a humble student. When a senator asks how his free service makes money, Zuckerberg pauses, looks him dead in the eye with a faint, robotic smile, and says, "Senator, we run ads." The prosecution calls that moment pure contempt. Young billionaire realizing the people making the laws don't even understand how the internet works. The defense calls it the ultimate "I told you so." 2. The empire of everything. Defendant: Jeff Bezos, Amazon charge, predatory intelligence, and the destruction of the global marketplace. The prosecution: Amazon didn't just compete with small businesses, it used them as lab rats. Think about how Amazon Basics works. Amazon tracks every single sale from a third-party seller. When they see a small mom-and-pop shop having a hit with a specific product, Amazon uses its massive data to create a cheaper version, puts it at the top of the search results, and buries the original creator. They call it optimization. We call it digital piracy. While Bezos was building a $500 million yacht, nearly 1 million small retail shops in America alone went dark. And inside the warehouses, it's a dystopian nightmare. Humans are treated like software components, tracked by the second, pushed so hard that safety becomes an afterthought. The defense: Bezos didn't kill retail. Retail was already dying because it refused to adapt. He built the most efficient machine in human history. Today, the entire digital economy, from Netflix to your local bank runs on Amazon Web Services. He didn't just build a store. He built the invisible electricity of the 21st century. He provides 1,500,000 jobs globally. He didn't steal the market. He earned it by being better, faster, and cheaper than everyone else. Exhibit B. Every year, Bezos wrote a letter to shareholders. Every year, it ended with the same phrase, "It's still day one." To the prosecution, that's a warning. A man who already controls 40% of e-commerce, saying he hasn't even begun to take what he wants. To the defense, it's the mindset of a genius who refuses to let the world settle for good enough. 3. The original sin. Defendant, Bill Gates' Microsoft charge, creating the blueprint for the tech monopoly. The prosecution, to understand the others, you have to understand Bill Gates. He was patient zero in the 90s. He used his Windows monopoly to suffocate a small competitor called Netscape. He bundled his own browser for free, not because it was better, but because he could afford to lose money until his rival was dead. A federal judge called his behavior predatory. He didn't win because of innovation. He won because he owned the operating system of the world, and he used it like a weapon. Every billionaire on this list today is simply following the Gates manual. Control the platform, crush the competition, and apologize later. The defense. But look at what happened after the trial. Gates has given away more than $60 billion of his personal fortune. He has nearly wiped polio off the face of the earth. He has saved tens of millions of lives through global health initiatives. The defense asks the jury, if a man builds an empire through cutthroat business, but then uses that empire to solve the world's most unsolvable problems, does the debt clear? Is the original sin of Microsoft washed away by the salvation of the Gates Foundation? 4. The engine that knows too much. Defendants, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, Google charge, the construction of a total surveillance state. The prosecution, Google's original motto was "Don't be evil." They quietly deleted it in 2018. Why? Because you cannot be the world's most powerful spy and a good guy at the same time. Google knows more about you than your own mother does. It knows your health secrets, your political leanings, and what you searched for at 3 a.m. and never told a soul. They didn't just organize the world's information. They put a price tag on your private thoughts. They turned your curiosity into an advertising product. When the product is free, you are the product being sold. The defense. Before Google, the internet was a library with all the lights turned off. Page and Brin turned them on. They made the sum of all human knowledge free and accessible to a child in a village in India and a CEO in London at the exact same time. They didn't build a spy tool. They built the collective brain of the human race. And they did it for the price of a few ads on the side of the screen. Isn't that a fair trade? 5. The luxury prison defendant. Tim Cook Apple charge, perfecting the golden cage and the 30% tax. The prosecution, Apple built a beautiful playground, but the gates are locked from the inside. If you want to sell an app, Tim Cook takes a 30% cut of every dollar you make. They call it a service fee. We call it a digital protection racket. Every single design choice, the green bubbles that shame non-iPhone users. The proprietary charges is designed to make leaving Apple feel like a punishment. It's not a brand. It's a hostage situation wrapped in brushed aluminum. The defense. It's not a prison. It's a sanctuary. People wait in line for 6 hours for a new iPhone because it represents quality and security. Tim Cook took Steve Jobs' vision and turned it into the first $3 trillion company in history. That's not a crime. That's the greatest business execution in human history. The twist. In 2013, Apple was accused of handing data to the government. But then, in 2016, Apple publicly went to war with the FBI, refusing to unlock a terrorist's phone to protect the encryption of every single user. The prosecution calls them a partner of the surveillance state. The defense calls them the only thing standing between you and Big Brother. The final verdict, jury instructions. Before you deliver your verdict in the comments, I want you to look at the device in your hand. Every data point they sold, you provided. Every algorithm that fed you rage or fear, you clicked on. These 5 men did not act alone. They built a machine, but we are the ones who keep feeding it. The ruling. These men didn't set out to be villains, but every time they had a choice between restraint and growth, they chose growth. Every time they could have slowed down to protect us, they sped up to please their shareholders. That is not necessarily evil, but it is a choice. The sentence isn't prison. The sentence is the world we live in right now. They built it. They own it. And every morning, When 3 billion people wake up and check their apps before they even say good morning to their families. That's the price we pay for the world they gave us. Write in the comments, what did you buy without need? Who is the most dangerous? I want to see your vote in the comments. I'm reading every single one. Next time, one defendant, one charge, and the most aggressive high-stakes bet in the history of capitalism. Elon Musk, charged with trying to own the future before it's even finished being built. The trial starts next week. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the opening statement.